So, okay. I'm I'm guessing, and I'm gonna go with what I have seen, watched, um, read, um, everything, heard. That my opinion is about to be an unpopular opinion. In general, So I actually enjoyed Avatar The Last Airbender Netflix series, the live action series. And for the record, I loved and still love the original animated series. I still plan to read the comics. I don't want to say comics, but because that's kind of, but you know what I'm talking about. The comic books and all that kind of stuff. I want to kind of know more about the lore that's about it, and things I might not know fully of, but I've seen different videos and things and articles about certain lore, so I'm not completely ignorant on when it comes to that extra lore that wasn't in the animated series originally. So I came at the series on Netflix as like its own thing. Like it wasn't like this is going to be like the animated series. This is going to be like the movie, which I do not like the movie. Like it's just not a good movie to me in general, and it's just not a good even an adaptation. So and I'm not even like an adaptation purist. Like I'm just not a fan of that when people are like it needs to be this. They didn't say this. They didn't say this. Some of my favorite adaptations, one of them I can name off the top of my head, looking at the Interview with the Vampire series from Anne Rice. I read the books series, like this whole, like the trilogy specifically, and then other books as well, but mainly the main trilogy. And then the movie, and then it's the series. So I love the book. The movie is good, and then the series is good. But it's people that cannot stand the movie because it's so unfaithful to this book, which I can understand, especially if you've read the book. If you haven't read the book, it's an amazing vampire movie. Even if you have, just if you're not a person that's just like, it needs to be this, it needs to be exactly this. And then the series is a good adaptation from the book as well. I look at them as two different adaptations that are based on the same source material. So the movie is based off the book and the series is based off the book, but they're not the same thing. So looking at them the same and comparing them, then you're already doing a disservice to what's been put out, in my opinion. So when I look at the movie, it's like, that's a good adaptation. Still, the book is better. Just because it includes more things. The series is a good adaptation. The book might still be better or not, because it's just certain things, like it's more blatant on certain things in the series that were kind of undertones and, things like that. It's some people that didn't like certain things, not including, I'm not even going to get into the whole issue with all the other stuff with that, because that's not what this is about. But, that's just one of an adaptation that I like. That's 3 different versions of the same source material. So when I looked at the Netflix series, I was excited about it. When I first heard about it, I was so excited because I was just like, we're going to have a live adaptation. They're actually taking time to do it, to see what it is. I know people are like, oh, the original creators left. Okay, well, the original creators left, but they also did I would have to double check, but I want to say they did like 2 or 3 episodes in the whole series. So even people saying they hate it, well, the creators didn't just not do anything. I know they did the first one, and I know they did another one later on in it. So at least it's 2, but I know it might be 2 or 3. But like it's so. But anyways, and even when you know more about the series, when you know that what people love about the animated series is really based on one of the amazing writers and not the creators of it. So, but another conversation, because that's not even really my point. So when I'm looking at it, I was like, okay, I want to be excited, excited about it. I'm not an adaptation purist. I'm not one of those people that's like, it needs to be this, and this, and this. If it's not this, and this, then I'm not gonna like it. So I watched it. I watched it in one night. Like, I binged the whole series. I didn't come back to it. I been watched the whole series. I was posting about it with people that I know, and a couple people that I know loved it as well. And I was like, okay, and then I'm looking at people that I follow on YouTube specifically putting out videos saying how horrible it is. And I'm like, not dismissing whatever their critiques are, but I just was like, okay. So, I'm watching their videos, I'm looking at comments in their comment section, I'm looking at, different things like that. And I'm like, okay, so why is it so much animosity about it? Like, I get changes were made. I know one of the changes they made, they were saying with Sokka's storyline with him, they said they took out the storyline of him being sexist and misogynist. And I'm like, okay, well, they didn't make it as blatant as the animated series, but it's legitimately still there for me. Like, when I watched the series, I still saw it, but it wasn't like something in your face being like, I'm being sexist. Like, that's not what he was doing. So I was watching it, and then I would see certain things, him dismissing Katara, and him only looking at I'm gonna blank. so him only looking at Tsukiba as just an attraction, like, oh, she's beautiful, and she's like, oh, she's kind of like a bad egg, so he kind of just was like attracted to that in a way, but not really fully. And looking at it, I'm like, it's still there, and I don't need them to do it as blatantly as they did in the animated series, which was fine. It's not a problem for me. But I'm looking at it, I'm like, okay, so I'm looking at the subtle misogyny, the subtle sexism. It is like, I look at it as when people are like, is a difference between watching a piece of media that's like blatantly racist, like just almost clownish, when it's to the point of the person in it is like the Karen movie, where it's like it's so over the top, you really almost can't take it seriously. So it's something like that, where it's like, okay, so you have these extreme versions where it's saying the racist words and doing the racist actions that are just so overt and so in your face. And then you have the reality of people's lived experience, where it's like, well, maybe I've never been called this to my face. This has never happened to my face. But it's the subtle things, like, why do y'all do that to y'all hair? And why do y'all do that? And why do those type of things? And even subtler than that, that's just another conversation. But so when I'm looking at it, I'm like, I still picked up on Sokka being misogynist and sexist and all this kind of things, without it just being so blatant like it was an animated series. Just him, he was so dismissive of his sister, and part of it was because it's his younger sibling, but part of it was because she's a girl. And so to say that it didn't exist, I was like, I don't agree with that. Personally, I'm not going to debate it. I'm not a person that debates. If you disagree with me, fine. It's a show. It's not life. Like, we're not talking about political policies. We're talking about a show. So, that's just kind of what some of the things I've heard and some things I've watched and read and all the kind of things. So, that's just, I'm looking at it and like, well, it was still kind of there, but it was more subtle, and even when people were upset about Sokka's flashback when he saw his father saying, you know, what he said about him in that episode. And it was like, people were like, his father would never be. Okay, well, again, this is what I go back to. People love to say they don't want a 1-for-1. But if your complaints always go back to, if they always go back to, this wasn't in this thing, then you still kind of are going for a 1-to-1, because now because you keep reaching back to the original content to be like, well, it wasn't in this thing, and it wasn't in this thing, and it wasn't in this thing. And it's like, okay, well, do you want them to make their own thing, or do you want them to just do a 1-for-1 live action version of the animated series? Because if that's what you want, honestly, I don't think I would have enjoyed it, because then I have I have the animated series. I don't need to see humans just act it out. So like, you know, I can understand changes not being liked, but I can understand the changes, because it's not actually a 1v1. It's literally, watching it for me was like, I really took it in as they were doing their kind of obviously a similar story, because it's the same original content, and it was them taking that, the creators of this taking that and kind of doing their own story with it, kind of going their own way. That's gonna honestly give us, you know, Easter eggs and nostalgia, not nostalgia bait, but just nostalgia moments and all those kind of things with it, that the people that love the show will understand. But if you haven't watched the show, you still will be fine. Because I had my mom to watch the animated series, because it had so many things that I know she would enjoy, but she doesn't really like watching animated things. And not for the reason a lot of people say that it's like it's childish. It's just she has this thing, she doesn't really like watch animated things so much. Like, she'll watch it with like my nieces and nephews and stuff like that, or, you know, just because they like it, but that's just not her flow. So but I could show her the live action, and she will watch and get certain things in that I wanted her to see. So that's, you know, I feel like it's certain mediums that will help other people still enjoy it, like want to learn more about it, want to read more about it. And everything doesn't, for me, when it comes to media, everything doesn't have to be a super mega masterpiece or extremely perfect. Now, when it comes to the movie, my issue with that was not even just like, it's not 1v1. It was just bad. It was so many things bad in it. I couldn't even watch it as its own thing, because it was just like, it was just bad. So it's I don't have the same issue that I would have with the series, the Netflix series, the live action Netflix series. So, you know, that's just kind of where I am with it. I will respect people's opinion, because people have the right to like or not like something. But it's just, when I start seeing so many things, so many videos that are just like, this is why this is bad, this is why this is horrible, this is why this is the worst thing ever. And it's just like, and especially when it's from people that I follow and I like, I'm just like, is it really though? Like, is it really that bad? Is it really this horrible? You know, and are you just nitpicking at this point? Because it's just like, I personally feel it was a good show. Like, I personally feel it was a good series. Like, is it the best, most amazing thing to ever do? No. But I'm like, I enjoyed it. Like, I watched it. I watched entertainment, and I was entertained. Period. You know, even I know one of the complaints was the opening scene with not the opening scene, but the major scene with the airbenders, and when they got massacred. And so many people were like, oh, that wasn't necessary. The animated series did this. And again, if you keep saying the animated series did this, then you're saying I want it to be like the animated series. But then when people point it out, you're saying, well, no, I don't want to be. Then why do you keep referencing it? I'm not gonna get worked up. I'll make sure I keep myself calm because I can get worked up about stuff. But like, when I looked at that scene, I'm like, I remember the scene from the animated series, and it was emotional for one reason. But the live action series, that scene hit me so hard. Like I never really realized it was children there, because it really was never really, I'm saying it really a lot, it was never shown like in the animated series children were there like that, like it wasn't shown in that context. So seeing that the Fire Nation came and burnt children alive, like, just I wouldn't say, because here's the thing, I love the animated series, and I got the Fire Nation was the bad guys, but I never really was like, so like, oh, I hate the Firebenders, I hate the Fire Nation. I just knew they were the bad guys. So watching this, like, and then watching what the Fire Nation did through the series, everything they showed made me be like, oh my gosh, this nation was horrible. This nation was horrendous. This nation really just damaged the world. They were the ultimate bad guys. Like, they were just bad. Like, as the nation, not citizens, because, but the nation was, I was like, oh my gosh. They just, because they showed, like, even like one of the beginning of the series, when they showed the earthbender who got caught, and people were like, he was stupid. Yes, he was stupid. But he was stupid because he was desperate. He was desperate to save his people, desperate to save the rest of the world, desperate to stop the Fire Nation. So he was like, whatever I have to do, I'm going to do it. If it seems shady, fine. If it seems like I shouldn't be trusting this, fine. But I'm going to do what I need to do. And so when he gets caught and literally burned alive, it just hit me. Like, these people are just, there's no, we're just going to put him in a Fire Nation prison. Because the animated series, a lot of people just got put in Fire Nation prisons. Or just, they didn't really talk about it. But to show, like, these people are being burned alive by the Fire Nation and the king. So, it's just like, oh my gosh. Like, these people are just, you see why you would avoid the Fire Nation even more. Like, I got it in the animated series, but this is like, I get it. I get why you would avoid these people. Because these people would forget going to prison. Forget, like the earthbenders sent people to work camps. No, these people will burn you alive. And you're done. Like, it's no more questions. And I know a lot of people were even talking about Azula, and it's like, here's my thing. I loved Azula's character in the animated series. Like, she's one of my favorite characters, not people, because she got a lot of issues, but one of my favorite characters in the animated series. And so watching, this version of her, people were like, well, she looks too cute. Exactly. Because it's, again, I don't think they ever set out to make it exactly like the animated series. They're making a version from it. They're pulling from it. But when you look at this Azula, right? Well, I'm not going to get into the other things yet. But when you get to she looks cute. She looks like, oh, she's a little girl. Oh, she's innocent. She's a little sweet, little sweetie pie. She's a little lum, right? And so, when you see her, originally she's undercover with the Earthbenders. So she looks, the original Zula probably couldn't have got be as trusted that because she looked a certain way. She looked like a certain way in the animated series. So the live action, she looks like some like innocent little girl who, you know, we have to protect and all these kind of things. And then when they go to, you know, the Fire Nation and see the king, when she turns on them, they're like, what? Like you look like somebody's little girl. So like I personally don't have a problem with how she looks different. I know a lot of people want to make excuses of why they don't like it, whatever. Some people don't like it for weird reasons. And some people just don't like her casting. Fine. Do you? But I personally don't have a huge problem with it. I definitely want to see what they do with her later on, especially her friends. But like, again, it's so many. I'm not going to go beat for beat because this is not really a review. I'm not really like a review person. I'm not like an official review channel. I'm not trying to do that. I'm just kind of just giving my opinion on what I watched. So my main point is this. Unpopular opinion, because that's what it's all started from, is that I enjoyed the series. I enjoyed the show. I'm extremely excited when I saw that they plan to add Toph to season 2. Toph is, I think, if I had to go through, you know, the main cast, auxiliaries, all these other different people, one of my favorite characters is Toph. Like, Toph was so amazing to me. And I'm like, I'm not blind or anything like that. But just the fact that she was just like, nobody's going to stop me. She's just like, love her. I love her. Like, I know a lot of people always talk about Katara learning how to bloodbend, which was, I really hope they add that, you know, in another season, just that storyline, because that was amazing. But like, nobody talks about, I wouldn't say nobody talks about, let me stop. I don't like to say nobody. I don't like to generalize. But like, when Toph learned how to bend things that weren't just straight earth, that was so, that was so amazing, because what she learned was not, like, Katara had to stop. Like, she could not keep bloodbending because it was a bad thing. It was a horrible thing. And then, but like, what Toph learned was just like useful. Like, this chick bad. This chick bad. And so, you know, I'm not gonna go episode by episode. Number one, I don't remember all of them off the top of my head, and I'm not gonna try. That's like 8 hours of content. But, you know, it's just what I would say in general, I enjoyed it. Like, I honestly would watch it again, just to see what I missed, all these kind of things, and just, I would watch it again. I'm excited about it, you know, if they get a second season, see what's going to happen. That's just where I am with it, personally. And I will say I appreciate some people that I've watched have their issues with it, but they definitely keep saying, like what you like, enjoy what you like. And then they go with that. And it's not a big thing. You know, they're not, because I cannot stand people that are like, if you like this, you're dumb. Because I think the thing that can stand out to me in my mind was the live action Lion King. I actually heard people on YouTube, not Twitter, I refuse, X, whatever, saying things like that. Like saying, you know, the whole, you know, well, I don't know why you would like it. It's just a cash grab. If you like it, you're dumb. That's so insulting. Number one, it's insulting to tell somebody, if you like a piece of something, you're dumb. That is insulting. That is not okay. And people really need to stop doing that and get off their high horse and chill out. It's not that deep. It's not that deep. It's things like, if somebody were to tell me, for whatever reason, they like the Avatar Last Airbender movie, I wouldn't agree. I wouldn't understand why, but I wouldn't insult them as a person. I would be like, I don't agree. I don't like it. Do you, boo? But, I feel like people need to really kind of get into the mindset of letting people enjoy what they enjoy and not like what they don't like, and not make it a personal attack on their humanity almost. Like, I know Chris Stuckman. I used to actually follow him. I used to be subscribed to him. I enjoyed his videos. He was so entertaining and funny, just how he would talk about the things. And then he did a switch some years ago, talking about how he wasn't going to really do review movies like how he used to, and he was going to kind of go into a more of like a positive thing and yada yada yada, blah blah blah. Me personally, I watched for a while to see if I still enjoyed how he put out the content, because he's still the same person. So I'm like, maybe it's still be engaging, entertaining. And it just really was like, I don't really find any need for this. His what he changed to. And not saying it's good, bad, whatever, but I just was like, I don't feel a need for this. I don't need him to bash a video, which, first of all, critique is not bashing as long as it's legitimately critique and not bashing. And there's a difference. But if you go into it and you're just like, everything I'm going to talk about is positive, and it's like, okay, fine. But maybe the movie you're seeing, I want to know if there's something maybe in it that I might not enjoy, that I might not like certain things. But if I'm not getting the whole picture of the movie, you're not really providing me anything. And just for the record, I will watch something even if somebody says they don't like it in general. I just will. So that's a whole other conversation. Don't worry. I'm not a person that's just like, if this person I like says they don't like it, I'm never going to watch it. It's people that I love to watch, that I'm going blank on her name right now. But she talks about bad movies, and I've watched the bad movies she talks about, just to see if they were that bad. If they're Kenny, I was like, I'm not going to shade her like that. If I'm going to remember Chris Stuckman, I got to remember her. I'm horrible with names. But Kenny JD, love her content. I've been watching her for years. And she talks about bad movies. And some of the bad movies she's talked about, I've went and watched. Because I'm like, I need to see if they're this bad. And some of them are. A lot of them are. But she still even has an enjoyment of the bad movies, is what I like about her. Like, everything bad doesn't have to be bad. It's just like, oh, this isn't the best. But to wrap this up, because I don't want to be on all night. It is currently Saturday at like 6:45. But just, I really feel that the series, the Netflix live action Avatar The Last Airbender series is not, I would not ever call it bad. If somebody was like, is it good or bad? First of all, there's good, bad, in whatever. There's a spectrum. So I would be like, I really just tell people I enjoyed it. I'm excited about the second season. If you don't enjoy it, I understand. And it's fine. But I feel like it's almost too much negative, and it's almost too much acting like your issues aren't the fact that it's not exactly like the animated series. And some people not. But I'm saying some people, because if your complaint is constantly, oh, this is the in the animated series this happened, they didn't do this here. In the animated series this happened, they didn't do this here. And it was like, and then when people were like, well, so you want it to be a 1-for-1? Well, no, I don't want to be a 1-for-1, but that didn't happen here. Well, then, okay, so why you keep comparing it to another piece of content based off the same thing? Like, a lot of people hate what they did with Boomy. I loved Boomy in an animated series. I loved Boomy in the live action. because I can see how this Boomy would get to where he is from where he was. I can see how he would be goofy, you know, how he was in animated series and how he was early on in live action flashback. I can see how all of that would be. And then when you look, it's like, oh, okay, he was hurt. Because here's the thing, not saying it needs to be gritty, but it's humans. This is more human, not even more realistic. It's humans. So if somebody's best friend disappeared when everybody needed them, you don't know what happened. All you knew was this person, this is my best friend. If they had been here, this is mindset, not saying it would, whatever, but if they had been here, none of this would have happened. All the bad stuff wouldn't have happened if they had been here, and this was my best friend, and why wasn't he here when I needed him? And then you grow up from that, you're going to grow up bitter and angry. You're just going to grow up bitter and angry. So seeing this version of Boomy, who's still quirky and weird and goofy, but has this undercurrent of just bitterness and anger, really makes sense to me. Because it's not even that he's just this bitter and angry all the time. He's this bitter and angry when he encounters Aang, who he feels let him down and let everybody down, but especially at him. So he's angry. So it's like when people are like, that's not Boomy. Yes, it is. It's a Boomy that's just more realistic than the Boomy that's just like goofy, haha. Even, I get the flaws with the best friend, whatever. But I'm just saying that's just kind of when that specific issue people bring up. But again, I'm not going to nitpick, whatever. But I will say, for me, wrapping it up, I'm going to wrap this up. I feel that it was a good series that had flaws and things that need to be corrected, hopefully by the second season. But in general, I enjoyed it. I was entertained. I was excited by it. It did something for me. It did what it was supposed, it did something for me. So I'm excited about, hopefully them getting a second season. I'm excited about seeing what they do with Toph, her character, see what changes they do with her. Obviously, if they don't make her blind, then everything I said today is going to be out the window, because I don't need y'all to do nothing. Leave her alone. I don't need her to be not blind, but with a limp or something weird. But leave her alone. Leave her character as it is. Her being blind is literally a part of her character. It needs to stay her character. I don't really care so much about her skin color, race, whatever, but she has to be blind. That's her character, is that's her storyline. But yeah, that's just kind of where I feel about it. Season 2, when if and or when it comes out, I'm going to probably come do another video, do a part 2, and see, update if I still like it, if I feel like they didn't grow, whatever. And I definitely will be doing more things like this, where I'm just coming on talking about how I feel about things. I'm not going to do a review. I'm more like a Mr. Gigi, where I'm just like, I just like a thing and I'm going to talk about a thing. If you want a deep review, it's people on YouTube that do deep reviews. That ain't me. I just talk about the thing I like, because there's some other stuff I've been watching. I'm probably going to talk about some series that I'm just about to start, that I'm going to start talking about here and there too. So, you might hear me come on talking about a book, a movie, a show, a music video, just media. I'm going to be talking about media that I just saw or watched or read or whatever. So, here we go. So, I can't wait to see y'all again next time. The Elijah sisters are going to be coming back soon. Keep an eye out for a trailer, a promo, a commercial, a teaser. We'll be coming back. Y'all gonna see us. We had to take a break and reset, but we'll be back. And I'm just looking excited to do more of these and seeing what your comments are, your engagement. Don't be nasty, please. Don't be nasty. Please don't be nasty. But just, what's your opinion? What's your thoughts? Are you one of the people that kind of got tired of the hate? Are you one of the people that's in the middle? Are you just like, I hate everything about the show? Whatever. As long as you keep it cool, keep it cordial, it's fine. Comment. But definitely like, subscribe, keep update for content coming to the Elijah Sister channel. We coming back at you this year. We coming back at you this year. So can't wait to see more of you, and deuces.